Our legal obligations, yeah. Not such an interesting part of your job, but very, very important, especially when you're working in human services for government and private practitioners of this. And these sort of compliance issues are going to play a significant role in your daily work, yeah? And it really doesn't matter which sector of community service you're working in, yeah? This is something that's just present in every part of the industry, yeah? And it's really annoying. Yeah, nobody really likes doing paperwork, but for the most part, it's there because it guarantees privacy or safety for your clients and their families. And for that reason, you need to understand what is required in your state. Unfortunately, we don't have a national framework for this. So depending on where you are, you're going to have some slightly different laws. And you'll find that any company that you work for will have their own appropriate policies and procedures to ensure that you're meeting your obligations, yeah? Again, if you'd like to read more about that, it's in chapter 3 of the Fundamentals of Community Services Learner's Guide. It's on page 43 of the Learner's Guide for this unit.
Benjamin, there's
Yes.
nothing, oh no, for a second there, we didn't have any wording up concerning legal obligation, but now you've put something up. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just something you'll have to get used to in your practice, yeah. It's always there, and it does serve an important purpose for the most part. Sometimes though we have forms just for filling out forms, but most of the time it has a purpose. Okay, communication strategies, yeah. Now, obviously, this is a crucial part of what you do. So what is the main things you're trying to achieve through effective communication with your clients? What is step one, really, before you can offer them supports and give them help?
Build rapport.
Build rapport and trust, good, with your clients, yeah? Obviously, that takes, yeah, extremely effective communication. You're going to have to be able to adjust how you talk to people, when you talk to people, what you say based on what you're presented with each day. Yeah? This can get particularly difficult, as Ambreen was sharing, right? If you have people with developmental delays or disabilities, right? That effective communication can become very difficult, yeah? Especially for non-verbal people who can't express to you what they want. So some very so ASD kids you'll quite often find like that, as well as Down syndrome kids. There might also just be people who've experienced severe trauma, right, and have trouble expressing what happened in that situation. Whatever it is, it's very important that you develop strong ways of dealing with this. Yeah? The first one we're looking at there, informed consent. Okay? We did a little bit on this back in the first lesson. Yeah. Anyone remember what do we mean by informed consent?
Yeah, you have to give that person all the information about what you're wanting the consent for. So the person has to be fully informed before before you can take his consent. He has to understand why he's consenting to this.
Exactly, right? It's not just good enough to say, do you consent to me helping you, right? You have to be explicit or very exact in saying, this is what I want to do for you, right? This is how I'll do it. Is that okay? Right? And get that in consent before you move on to offering them any sort of supports. Okay? Obviously, too, they need to be legally able to give that consent, yeah? So if someone has a severe developmental disability or they're underage, then you're going to need to speak to their guardian or parent to get that informed consent, not the actual client, yeah? So yeah, just make sure you understand who is actually capable of giving the consent, and that's the person you're informing. Developmental issues that we just spoke about, okay, and also, well, yeah, the other part of that, yeah, sometimes you're going to need to talk with their carers, their family, and their partners, not just the person that you're offering supports to. All right, informed consent. Probably the one we didn't touch on before there yet is the documentation, right? So it's not just enough to get a verbal yes, informed consent. You need to document that you were given that consent, right? That should happen, again, before any supports are put in place. It should be at your first meeting that you explain this and you give these things to them. Does anyone know what age, assuming that there's no developmental delays or other problems, what age can a child give consent to receive supports?
18.
I'm getting your dinner.
In a little while.
It's younger than 18.
She said in a little
Medical
while.
issue?
Is it 14?
Yes, 14, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so at that point, they are allowed to consent to their own healthcare, including mental health supports, and you are not allowed to tell their parents about it. Yeah, right. At that point in time, they're considered capable of making decisions about their own healthcare. Right, so that includes going to a doctor and using the Medicare card. Right? So they can go to a doctor at 14, use the family Medicare card, and the doctor's not allowed to tell their parents about it. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big thing that came up when they put GPs into schools. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely. It's not that they can't give you permission to tell their parents, so they're allowed to turn up with their parents and say, yeah, I want them to know about it. But if they request that you do not tell their parents or their guardians, then you are not allowed. Right? They're considered adults for healthcare purposes.
So we need their consent to discuss about, I mean, their issue with the parents or the guardian here.
Sorry, say that again, Cool?
I mean, from the age of 14, if we need to discuss their issue with parents, we need consent from them. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. They are considered capable of making their own healthcare decisions from the age of 14. Right. So yeah, if you want to talk to their parents about what they say, yeah, you have to get their consent to do so. All right. So I have to stress there, that is just for the healthcare treatments, right? Yeah, it's not for everything, obviously. So there's still the other things around age of consent, alcohol, tobacco, all still exist at the same levels. This is just for their healthcare that they're allowed to make decisions like that. And again, right, proper documentation is crucial, and keeping accurate records of what you've done, when you've done it, so that basically you're covered if anything goes wrong. Yeah. Again, any organization that you're working for will have their own policies and procedures for this. They'll most likely have a document called informed consent form that you'll have to do as part of your intake. All right, communicating with people with developmental issues. So looking at it there, probably the most important point is right there at the top, yeah, clear and concise language, yeah. Right, very simple, very short sentences, right? No elaboration, definitely no jargon, okay? And you see, it says there in the second point, break down complex information. Right? So rather than using conjunctions like we would normally take, like however or otherwise, or even but or because maybe. You make shorter sentences that are complete ideas and break everything down into very simple steps. Right? It's a good idea to also give it to them in written form. Yeah. Some people prefer it that way. Either way, if you're not sure that they're understanding, it's always good to follow up with exactly the same communication in written form. And again, asking for feedback. Anyone want to guess why would we ask for feedback in these situations?
To ensure understanding and to
Yeah,
clarify
good.
that they've heard
So,
right.
yeah, it's a good way for you to check their understanding. And so what type of questions should you be asking when you ask for feedback?
Open.
Yeah, good, right? Who, what, when, where, why, how long, how much questions, yeah? Don't give them a chance to say yes or no, because it's likely that they'll just answer yes, even if they didn't really get the point that you're talking about, yeah? And then the final one there is an interesting one for you to develop, is use and read nonverbal emotional communication. Right? Does anyone want to guess what percentage of our communication is actually verbal?
When you say like non-verbal emotional communication, are you talking about like visual boards and stuff like that?
No, so I'm talking about body language, proximity, facial expressions, tone of voice, volume.
Okay. Oh, that non-verbal. Gotcha.
Yeah. Right. So there's a number of different things in there. Yeah. No. So they estimate that at least 60% of what we understand in a situation, right, is based off non-verbal cues. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very much around, yes, they'll hear your words, but if you're smiling at someone and yelling at them at the same time, right, they're not going to think you're happy. Yeah? So a lot of those cues that they'll take from you, yeah. So you be very cautious in that in yourself, right? What am I saying with my body or my facial expression or my tone of voice? Does it match the words that I want to do? Because a lot of what they understand of that communication will come from those things, and vice versa. Yeah. Okay. If someone's telling you they're okay with something, but they're turning away from you and moving away while saying it, that's probably an indication that their words don't really reflect what they're actually feeling. Yeah. So it's a two-way street with that one. Yeah. Understand your own non-verbal communication cues and also watch for that in your clients, just to make sure that there is some sort of synchronicity in between what they're saying and how they're then their non-verbal cues. Okay, moving on, carers, family, and parents. All right, so the first point there, yeah, very, very, very important to get permission of your client to discuss with their support network first, yeah? So that's anyone from the age of 14 and up, you need to do this for, yeah? Having said that, sometimes it is a very useful thing for you to do, yeah? This person's support network are the people that understand them better, they spend the most time with them, and that can be a useful resource for you to understand what's going on and what supports that your client really needs. Okay. And also, they might be the ones that are required to deliver those supports, yeah? If it's something that can happen in the client's home, then it's always good to have their support network on board with this, yeah? And again, obviously, they needed to be treated with the same respect and dignity that you offer your client. And again, they need to have a full comprehension of what you're planning for your clients, yeah? So if you've been told to share this with them, then they have to have the same sort of information that you gave your client, so they are completely understanding what's happening in there. Again, though, the only time they would need to give informed consent is if your client is not able to give it. So they're under 14 or they're legally not allowed to give consent, so they have a guardian to do that sort of thing. Okay, so we get into a case study here. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to read that one. Read through that one, please. All right. So having a look at this, so what can we say about John here, right? So Sarah is the support worker here, and she's immediately contacted John's mother, yeah, rather than speaking to John. So what can we surmise
he's-
about John's
because-
situation from that, yeah?
Yeah, because she is the mother and she knows better. So
Yeah.
about how to communicate with John. So that's why. So she contacted her mother first because
Good.
she's the caregiver. Yeah, she's the care person.
Definitely. What else can we surmise about John from this?
He has autism, so he's not legally able to make informed
Good.
decisions.
Obviously, he is, yeah, right. Whatever his ASD diagnosis is, it's been decided he legally cannot give consent for his treatment. So yes, they speak directly to his mum, Seti. Okay, and all right, what does Sarah need to achieve in this meeting with Seti?
Make a new management plan.
Good.
Set
Yeah.
up new goals for John.
I couldn't quite hear that, Dadi. Could you say it again?
Set up new goals for him, like act for John, like to what activity he'll be more interested in.
Yep. Good.
To build the new activities to meet his goal. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
In that situation, Ben, would the support worker put together like pictures of all the activities that John and that she knows that John enjoys doing, and then based on those activities, and they can then create a new goal plan?
I know I would, judging from this, yeah, it seems like Seti is quite a competent carer.
Mm.
So yeah, I would think that Sarah would go into this with the idea that Seti is going to have most of the information that she needs, yeah,
Okay.
create the management plan.
Okay.
And obviously that has the added benefit that if Seti's involved in creating it and is giving a lot of the input into it, then she's going to understand what's involved in delivering it, yeah, afterwards, yeah.
Mother might help her to achieve, like to set a goal.
So
Yeah. Sarah might have the goals, like what she needs him to achieve at work, yeah, and Seti would be the ones that coming up with ideas on how to achieve it, yeah.
Yeah. So Sarah wants to see the strength, and according to that, they will make a new goals management plans
Yes.
according to his strengths.
Yeah.
So
Now,
s-
John probably works 10 hours a week. Yeah. So Sarah doesn't have a lot of time with him. His
Yeah.
mum's with him for the other 160. Yeah. So obviously she's going to have a lot more knowledge around what he's good at, what his skills and his strengths are. Yeah.
So did Sarah find out why John had lost interest in his activities?
No idea.
So it's through a management plan? Through
I think
SETI?
the idea is that the management plan is to re-engage John with his work. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting point you bring up, though. Yeah. Let's say that they try this management plan, right? And John's still disengaged. He's lost interest in his activities. Where might they go from there?
Maybe like what Daniela was saying, bringing up pictures so that he could point to what interests him, what activities might interest him.
It's about
Yeah.
giving him as much
Yeah,
choice
but
and
But it
control as
It
possible.
doesn't say that he's nonverbal, does it?
yeah, no, it doesn't say he's non-verbal. That's what I was going to say
So-
at this point.
No, does not say he's non-verbal.
Yeah, he can say there's no need of pictures. I don't think so. He can say he just
Yeah.
lost with the activity. Maybe
What he likes and dislikes.
yeah.
I think he probably knows what he does and doesn't like.
I agree with that.
So wouldn't it have been a better idea to go straight to John and ask him what his interests are?
Well,
Besides knowing SETI is there
mm,
also.
it gets a little hard there because there's a lot of, obviously not a complete case study here. We don't have the complete information.
Yeah.
I would assume that the current activities that John was doing, he was interested in at one time. Yeah.
Mm.
So something's changed. Yeah.
It might just be bringing his mum in to see if there's environmental factors as to why his behavior has changed. Like if he's, overwhelmed in other areas, maybe that would lead him to be disengaged because he's just tired. Like he might still like the activities.
Yeah,
he
Just might not feel like doing it on the day.
Yeah, maybe he's doing the same thing at home. So when he comes to work, he doesn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. Possible. Yeah.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we need to find out why he's disengaging now, which he was interested previously. So
Rather than finding out that, we can find out that what he's interested in more and now. Can we do that?
But we could also find out if something happened, as well. Like when we go
Yes.
down this path, there's so many questions and so many with the what ifs can come into this. And it's hard to see because obviously we only get given this snippet, So
Yeah,
we
there's a
all
lot
the
more
work that
background
goes on
information that we
behind
don't
it.
Good. All right. Okay, I don't want to get into the next part because it's going to take us probably about 10 or 15 minutes. So we might have a break a little bit earlier. We'll come back at 7 minutes past 7. So just going through those, what were the 6 things that she mentioned to be aware of there? Anyone get that?
yeah,
Um,
first one is consider the environment.
Good, yeah.
And second is allow plenty of time while communicating, and I think third one is
Sign language.
not to talk too fast.
Yeah, so talking speed, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and use simple and short sentences.
Simple words, short sentences, good.
And what else?
Was
Yeah.
to avoid what
Si-
type of language?
Like sign language, we can use sign language
So
to
that was the
communicate with
last
it.
one, yeah? The total communication
Yeah,
approach?
total
Sign
communication.
language, pictures.
Pictures.
visual cues as much as you can to help aid in comprehension.
And we should talk slowly with them.
Talk slowly. Yeah, and the last one in there was to use literal language. Yeah, try and avoid, using colloquial term or slang term. Yeah, or the other one was context-specific things. Yeah, so use the idea of theater in a hospital. Obviously, it's very different from going to the theater. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Okay, our documentation. Okay, back to this one again. So we're going to extend on this a little bit now. So we spoke before about adhering to your workplace policies and maintaining, make sure you're following all of the procedures that they have in place. There is one standard that is nationwide, and that what they call the Australian privacy principles. Now, it's important to understand with that it's more than just their demographic information. Yeah, so it's not just their name and their address and their email and their phone number, right? It extends to their stories, their history, and pretty much anything that they tell you as part of the supports that you're supplying to them. Right, all of that information needs to be kept or maintained in a way that meets the Australian privacy principles. Another big long document that you're probably going to have to read at some point. I'll let you find that one on Google. It's not short, I can tell you that much. So. Again, though, your workplace will probably have their own privacy policies that ensure that you're meeting that one. But it is useful to understand what those ones are. And it is an Australian-wide one. Doesn't matter what state you're in, that applies to everywhere in Australia. And obviously, the goal of this is to protect your clients and avoid information being shared with people that they don't want to have that information. And probably one last point to remember on this is that it extends beyond the time that they're in your care. Okay, so it is an enduring responsibility to maintain their confidentiality. Yeah, it's not just until they go and then you go, oh, don't worry about it. Right, you have to protect that information forever, which means probably decisions you won't have to make personally, but there'll be an amount of time that you'll have to keep the information. And then if you don't want the responsibility, it would have to be destroyed in a way that makes sure that you can maintain that confidentiality. Again, though, your workplace will have their own policies and procedures around this, so it won't be something you'll have to create for yourself. I see that, yes. So the last one, your organization's policies and procedures should line all that up for you. The only time you would have to do that for yourself would probably be if you go on and move into some sort of clinical role and you have your own practice, then you are the organization.
Now,
Sorry?
We actually have to do all of this now. So every conversation that they have over the phone as well has to be documented.
Yeah. So your company has their own policies and procedures for this, yeah?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And we use like it's called CareLink. So everything goes on to CareLink or it's CTARS.
Okay, use CTARS, yeah. Yeah, that's a very common one. Yeah. All right. So let's reviewing the documentation. So there is a lot of existing documentation that you can use to get insight into the developmental status of a person. Looking first, right, at the parents there, yeah. They can provide insights for you into, so let's say you have a child that's in your care and you want to talk to the parents about it. they can provide useful insights. It can be through conversations. There is also a very useful tool called the Parents' Evaluation of Developmental Status. Right? It's a questionnaire basically where you ask the parents what they think about their own child's developmental status. Obviously not a clinical tool for you to use, but it is good anecdotal evidence that you can use to inform your decisions. Milestone checklists, right? These are clinical things. Yeah, these will be judgments that come from professionals like GPs, psychologists, and counselors, perhaps speech pathologists as well, if that's the area that the client is suffering some developmental delays in. You have standardized screen tests, right? So common ones of these are the ASQ, right? It's the Ages and Stages questionnaire and the Child Developmental Inventory, right? These are very common, easily available in many places, and they are used to identify developmental status. Yeah. So at this point, you've already identified there might be a problem. This is helping you to, how would you say, get more of an idea of exactly what that problem is. Developmental surveillance, nothing really new in here. What they mean by that is more of a longitudinal approach to assessing the child. So basically doing observations and assessments over a period of time, quite often in conjunction with their support network. And yeah, the main thing is there, it requires repeated assessments and observations. It's not just a point in time assessment. So you're looking at differences or changes or status over a period of time. And obviously then just basic questionnaires. And you might find that the organization you work for has their own set of questionnaires that they use here. We have a lot of them in the education space. Yeah, so Department of Education in Queensland has a number of these for special education teachers to use in various situations. Obviously, well, educators are told not to make a diagnosis, even though sometimes they will actually do, but it can help them, inform them on where they should direct their student to get a proper diagnosis. Yeah, shouldn't be diagnosed by any of us, really. Yeah, none of us are actually qualified at this point in time to make these diagnoses. Yeah, so what we're looking for is where we can go to give them these diagnoses. Yeah, so there's clinical decisions that we were talking about earlier, obviously are only made by medical professionals. Yeah, and it's our job to identify and then put in place the proper support so they can get that diagnosis if that's what they need. Right, yeah. Making referrals, right? Exactly what I was just talking about. So, and everything we've been looking at for the past 2 weeks is pretty much designed so that you can do this in an accurate and timely way, right? Like I was just saying there, yes, although some teachers like to diagnose, right? And perhaps it happens in community services and other parts of the industry as well. It's really not our role in this. Yeah, for the support worker or a caseworker or a teacher to be making a diagnosis is not really where they should be at. Right, it's to have an understanding of these developmental delays and these disorders, be able to recognize the signs so that we can refer them to the correct people to give them the help that they need. Yeah, and of course, as we keep saying, document this along the way so that the person that you refer them to can pick up and get all the information that they need to give them that clinical decision. All right. Again, though, each state and territory has different programs to support families and young people facing these developmental changes. The easiest way for you is to have a very strong understanding of your organization's policies and procedures. Right? Again, right? They'll have people that have understood everything about the programs available and have created correct procedures for referrals. It's your job to understand those policies and procedures and refer in the correct way at the correct time. This process of choosing who to refer to and when to refer should be, again, collaborative though, yeah? Right? So we talked about informed consent, right? Part of that is going to be that these people have to have some say in their care, right? Very, very, very rare that they will have no input into, or not be able to give you any input into their care. If that's the case, then you're probably not dealing with them, you'd be dealing with a guardian, and that guardian would have some input.
At work, we've been told to always look at it as like a partnership type thing.
Yeah, definitely. The
'Cause
collaboration.
if you work as a partnership, then you get better outcomes.
Yes. When you get into the point of referral, again, you have to make sure that you get your informed consent to refer them to someone else, right? Can't just say, I can't help you anymore, you have to go and see this person, right? They have to understand what you're going to offer them, where they're going to go, and give consent to that referral before you can do it. You can't force them to go. And then from your sense, it's very, very important that after you make that referral, that you follow through on your duty of care and actually make sure that the services and the support that you recommended are being delivered and continue to meet your client's needs. That's pretty much it in a nutshell, yeah? So any questions you want to get about that? Yeah. There's one other thing we didn't come up with that. A different reason for referral. That one, differing expectations. So we spoke there about the relationship and the severity or uniqueness of the person's conditions. So that might be why you're referring. Why might you be referring because of differing expectations?
Like, for example, if a client has complex issues, I guess they might go in for one thing, but they actually need support for others, but they may also expect, I guess, for us to fix that or fix that situation. We can't fix anything because that's not what our role is. I might be on the wrong kind of track here, but
no, that's right. It's basically comes down to what you're saying before, Daniel. Is that it is a partnership or a collaboration, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting any sort of consensus on what you can offer, for whatever reason, then it might be necessary just because there isn't that collaboration and partnership there that they are moved on to someone else.
And it's about explaining that, like the benefits of wraparound services can actually provide that person as well. You know, and it might mean that we still work with that client, but then we will have another service working with them at the same time as well. So then it becomes a collaboration with that service who takes on that client as well as the client at being at the center.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the good point. Yeah, the client's always at the center of what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like people with very complex situations might need supports from more than one organization. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could end up that way. Yeah. And of course, unless any of you are supervisors, you will always have that. If you're not sure, right, talk to your boss, right? They're the people there with the higher level of experience and knowledge, and they can always help you guide the decisions that you're making. Yeah. It is much, much better to ask a lot of questions before making decisions than to rush into something and then have to undo it. Yeah. All right. I'm getting close to the end here. got another case study to have a look at here. So please have a read of that one. All right, anyone have any questions about that information there? Yeah.
I think it's good that she documented everything like in line with like that's set out in the policies and procedures.
Yeah, good. Right. She did exactly what she said. She followed the procedures. Yeah.
And she referred John to the specialized healthcare professional, including his family doctor, so they can find out what is actually the issue with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right, so we're gonna just go in one more lot of breakout rooms here. Yeah. So you're gonna have 3 questions here, looking at different parts of what Sarah's done. Yeah, just talking about different things she could do at different stages of the supports that she was providing for John. So you're going to have 3 questions in the chat to discuss inside your breakout rooms. And when we come back, we're just going to share your ideas with the class. Yeah. Right, so I've got to stop sharing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you now's your chance just to ask me anything you want to about the assessments. Yeah. So let's start with task 1. Does anyone have any questions about that? It's a pretty pretty straightforward one.
In the assessment?
In the assessments, yes.
Yeah. So in the assessment, I'm doing like I'm in question number 13. So I'm
Yep.
doing like chapter wise, like now I have completed module 2 modules. So now from tomorrow on, I will do. So is it okay? Like I'm just saving the answers, like saved. So is it okay to do
Yeah,
like that?
that's good. You should be able to finish the last 7 questions after tonight. Yep.
Yeah. So tonight would be that's third one. Then after that, what else?
Well,
Then I have to do confirm developmental status role play.
the role
In
play, yes.
in my like here it is assessments to do things.
Yeah.
So for the role play, then it will be about confirm developmental status.
That's the skills you need to show in the role play, yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
my understanding of that, Amberine, is that you've got to organize the questions that you're going to ask Samson first.
Oh, yeah.
So the questions for Beth first
Mm-hmm.
before you actually do the role play.
Okay. So like
I
we
could
have
be
to
wrong
you
with
have to
it.
do before 14th of June or 14th of till 14th of June.
Ideally, yes, but there seems to be a bit of a backlog, so don't worry too much about the date. Just yeah. But just book it in when you're ready, yeah?
Yeah. So next will be like next week. Our lessons will be about applies specialist interpersonal and counseling interview skills. Like
You're going on to
SL,
units? Yeah.
SLO2.
Yes, that's what.
CSL02.
Yes. So starting a new unit next week, and that one goes for 4 weeks, yeah? So there's 4 sessions on that.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Benjamin, I did mention to you that I think I had to go right from February to restart my units again. But I never got a learner support, with all the quizzes and all that. I think
You mean the learner's guide, yeah?
Yeah, learner's guide. I never got that.
So you can download that for yourself in the resources part of all the units.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
everything you need for all your units is in that resources tab, yeah?
Okay, and is that where all the quizzes are? We can complete the quiz and then go on to the next part?
That's separate. So
Yeah.
when you go into Accelerate, up the top you'll see like your resources and you'll see assessments. To get into your assessments, you click on the assessment part and it will take you straight through to your assessment side.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you say it was separate?
Yeah.
Oh, it's inside Accelerate, but it's in a different part, yeah? Across the top you have a number of different options, yeah? Contacts, courses, resources, and another one is assessments.
Okay.
So you can go into there and find all your assessments for all your units will be in there.
Oh, okay.
And you can go into the learnings, and in the learnings there is like your units, modules. Then from there you have to read, and after that, at the end of the module there is a quiz. So you have to complete that quiz, then your module will be completed.
Okay.
Yeah. Through there.
Okay.
All right. So let's have a look at the second part then, the role play. Okay. Do any of you have any questions about what you need to do here? It's quite a few parts. Yeah.
With part 2, my understanding part 2 is where you've devised the questions that you've got to ask both the carer and Samson. And then once you've got those questions, you would then do the role play and then you'd write down your notes. But like based on those questions, you'd ask the same questions to Samson or to the carer. and then you would write down what they say, and then that would be your assessment, basically.
Yes, right. So you have to read through the stuff that they've provided you about Samson, like his universal non-verbal intelligence test, right? Formulate the questions that you want to ask Samson. Now, Samson is obviously going to be played by another student in the role play, but they will have some information there to prompt them on what they need to say to your questions. Yeah.
So in the role play, which role we going to play? Like,
It depends on how it's booked in. So if you're booked in just you and an assessor, then the only thing you will play is the support worker. Yeah.
okay.
If you're in there with another student, then one time you're going to play Samson, and then another time you'll be playing the support worker. Yeah. And the assessor will just watch you both times. Okay.
So we
I'm
are
not
asking
exactly sure how the role play is going to run for you. Right?
So are we asking question, and at the same time we have to give the answer?
No. So when you are asking the questions, either the assessor will be playing the role of Samson,
Yeah.
or another student will be playing the role, and they will be answering. You have to take notes on that, yeah,
Okay.
on what they're saying.
So I'll give you an example, Carl. So for example, I'll go with Sam. I'll just say one. I've put for one of the questions, right? I'm going to ask Sam, how do you feel about school? So for that question, then Sam will answer, and I'll write down what he says.
Yeah. All right.
So what problem do we have, like, as a Samson?
You've got to read the scenario.
So yeah, if you look at, there's a document there called Part A Role Play Instructions.
Yeah. Instructions.
A lot of instructions on there for what Samson is supposed to be, what his problems are. Yeah.
It is like difficult to
point 3 there.
concentrate.
If you are asked about your feelings or thought, you are to avoid answering the question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Danielle's question there, how do you feel about school? You answer like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Really want to talk about it. Yeah.
And that would be my cue to try to another communication tactic.
Yeah. Right. Don't let them get away with it. Ask for more information. Ask open questions that they can't. Yeah, just give a yes/no answer to.
I would also want to know. I'd also ask him directly, like, what's stopping you from sharing with me? Like, what you're feeling. Exactly. And you'll find just by that one question that he'll actually open up. Most children would open up at that point.
Yeah, and if they're not, then yeah, that's probably the instant referral right there. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so the person that you're asking the questions to has a lot of prompts there and a lot of information on how to answer. Yeah. This is what you need to make your notes on, because after the role play, that's when you have to go and do your reports. Yeah. So remember, there's 2 parts to this role play. Yeah. Or sorry, 3 parts.
You've got the questions.
You have to formulate your questions that you want to ask in the role play. You have to do the role play and ask your questions and make your notes. And after the role play, you need to do your report on that. Yeah.
And there's a template for that too.
Yes, there is. Yeah. What's that document name?
So, and do we upload that role play video in the platform, or what do we do?
Sorry.
I mean, do we need to upload that role play conversation in the platform or the video?
No, so the assessor will be making a copy of it.
Okay.
Now, and depending on how it runs, so if there's you and another student in there, and the assessor can just watch, they will just mark it in real time. There won't be a need to keep a copy of it.
Okay.
If they have to join in with you and play one of the roles, then they'll record it, and then they'll go and watch it again afterwards and do the assessment.
Unless you're with Vicky, and Vicky will probably throw you a curveball.
So for example, I will be the Samson, and another student will be the assessor, right?
They will be the support worker.
No, support worker. Yeah, support worker.
No. Yes.
Yeah, and the assessor will be sitting, like will be watching us, and then we have to write. As a Samson, I have to write my answers also.
No, when you're Samson, all you need to do is follow
Just
the
you're
instructions
saying,
and answer the questions. Yes.
So
just
you would write down,
answering the questions.
you would
Yeah.
read out your questions and then you'd write down what they would say. You would also probably write down your observation in that time as well. So if Samson's not talking or not wanting to talk or declining to talk, for example, you would document that as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mm.
I could be wrong though. It's just, that's kind of my interpretation.
Yeah. Now, if you have enough, the other character or the other situation you need to be ready for is if you have enough students, so there might be three people in there.
Mm.
If that's the case, then you'll be talking to Samson and Samson's carer. Right? So you'll have two people playing roles in there that you can ask questions to. Right? That's not always going to be the case, right? If there's only two people, then the carer won't, that role won't be played. But if you have three students in there to do the role play, then you'll have one person is the support worker, and one person is Samson, and one person is Samson's carer.
Mm.
So you'll be able to ask questions to both of them if that happens. Right? That's the ideal situation, but there might only be two people, so it could just be you and Samson.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the role play part, asking the question. The important part there is that you're making notes and writing down your ideas while you're asking your questions. Yeah.
Yeah. For example, can we do that like right now? If to a student, like one can be when maybe you can give a situation, just 2 or 3 questions. One student should ask.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah. We can practice it right now, like
Danielle,
here.
you've got your questions ready. Yeah.
I've got my questions here. Yeah.
Do you mind doing a bit of practice? Yeah. And
Yeah, I'll be Samson. What problems I have? I don't know.
anyone want to volunteer to be the Samson's carer?
Caregiver, okay.
I haven't read that situation, so I'm not sure about that. The case.
Yeah. All right.
Like you are, as a Samson, you are to attempt to focus on this. Yeah. To concentrate for a long period, you are required to take numerous breaks and need prompting to stay focused.
My biggest advice here, guys, is like before going to role play, plan it. Because if you have a plan, it goes a lot smoother, and you'll find that like you would have actually passed within the first 5 minutes of completing that role play, of starting that role.
Yeah. So I have to read this Samson.
I wouldn't do a role play if you're not organized, because that's where, like,
Okay.
Not sure. Yeah.
So if, for example, maybe another like similar like to Samson, if you can give
I mean,
an example.
what do you mean?
Like I have a problem with concentration, like for example with the studies I can't concentrate, so it will be like an example.
So for example, if we're concentrating on, you've just said, like, I would actually say, hey, you've just told me that you're struggling with concentration. Can you elaborate on that? Can you tell me what areas of concentration that you're struggling with the most?
Oh yeah.
Like, is it, for example, like watching a movie? Like, how are you able to focus on that? Do you understand what's going on in that movie? Can you comprehend that information? That kind of thing.
And remember the video we watched at the end of last week about the Canadian woman doing the assessment of the young boy? Yeah. And
There was a
middle answers like that. And I said, did your mum always give you dinner? He goes, oh yeah, most of the
also in the accelerator, in the resources, there's actually a YouTube video you can watch, and the assessor's actually doing that role with a boy called Sam. So it's very similar to what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's what
Ah,
we're
okay.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Yeah, and you notice in that she didn't let him get away with like non-committal or half answers. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just
They did.
asking a question
Oh,
again
did
and
you
again.
guys?
yeah.
I didn't know you guys watched that. I'll watch that in my own time. Okay.
Yeah,
Most of the
we
time,
watched
how
it
many
here.
nights
Yes.
a week?
Yeah.
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 Right. Yeah. So that's the idea. Yeah. Don't let them get away with non-committal answers or just shrugging their shoulders. Always,
Ask. Yeah, to
dig-
clarify.
ask for clarification,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ah, to clarify it.
Like Daniel said, most kids will want to talk. Yeah. You just kind of have to pull it out of them sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understood. Yeah. That's
Right.
fine.
Okay. Supervisor report. Yeah, a little bit hard to cover that one here.
Development status report.
No, it's like the third
That's the
assessment.
third one.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a
That's
third
something
one.
you'll do as part of your placement, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I can't get into it.
So
Gotcha.
maybe it will be at the end of the course.
It depends when you do your placement. So I'm guessing, Danielle, you don't need to do placement yet. Your work's going to
So I've RPL'd a few of my subjects.
Yeah.
So I'm probably almost halfway through. Not quite. So Clonidine, I think. She's opened
yeah,
up
yeah.
she's opened up some more assessments for me to start, even though they're not started yet.
All right.
Just so that we can get the work placement done. Because she said before I can do the work placement stuff. I have to complete half of the course basically. So I can do it through work. So I still have to do the work placement components, but I won't have to find a workplace to do my work.
Yeah, it's just your normal work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's a nice advantage for you.
But I have asked my boss if, like, when I do that, like, I will spend one day a week with different teams. So if it's a case management
Okay, yeah.
compartment that I need to do, then I'll spend the day with the case managers in the foster care team. If it's community stuff, I'd spend the day in, say, the homeless and domestic violence team. And do it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. All right, so I'll just share you on the screen here, yeah? So this is the supervisor report. So this is when you are doing your placements. This is what you'll need to do. So these all here are instructions for your supervisor, yeah? Down here, there'll be your instructions. And basically, this is just you doing the role play for real, yeah? So you'll actually be doing this with a real client, but it's very, very similar to what you'll be doing in the Samson role play, yeah? So you'll be required to question the client and their family or caregiver and document information relevant to their developmental status. So exactly what you're doing in the role play is just in a real world situation with a real client. Okay. And you're doing this under supervision of your placement coordinator. Yeah.
Wow.
And again, you must ensure that you use a structured approach, follow their policies and procedures. You're going to see that a lot. Yeah. And your supervisor has to be there the whole time. Okay. And that's pretty much what your supervisor will be doing. Right.
So everything that we're doing in this role play, we'll be doing it again, but with a real life person.
That's pretty much exactly it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Role-based
I should keep
practice,
these.
supervisor report is for real. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just keep these questions so that it's already done.
Yeah, that could work exactly well. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Other questions about the assessment?
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot. I would need a lot of help.
Yeah. Hang on a second.
Are you in the WhatsApp group, Kathy?
Yeah, I am. I find that a lot of them are, a lot of them have are all up to date, and
Look,
you-
I'm in it, but like I don't really talk in there because there's been a couple of times where some people have actually asked me for the answers, and it's made me feel really awkward. And so I won't talk in there.
So is there any WhatsApp groups or I don't know?
I don't even know how to get you access to that. But next time you're in there,
I think it's Tegan. It's Tegan that's got to invite.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't actually really communicate in there because it's just made it really awkward for me.
So, is there any way that I can get some help from somebody concerning my
Yeah, one
assessment?
sec. I'm going to send you a link now to my
It's
calendar.
really good.
Got a bunch of times that I'm available next week, so you can just book in any one of those times, and I can spend half an hour with you just going through it. Yeah.
I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, no worries. Hang on. I will just.
Yeah, can I please ask one thing? Yeah, I was starting assessment for this unit, and yeah, there are a lot of questions. I think 45 something, and I also went through the learning material over there, and I don't think it does cover for all the questions. So we have to read any extra material or any resources.
If you go on to, if you have a look at Scholar, like if you put into Scholar, you can get a lot of information off there, but you just got to reference it.
If you go into what, Danielle?
Like if you look it up, I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's like Google, but it's like legitimate site.
Oh, okay.
Like it's not Google. It's yeah.
So my question was, yeah, we have to get. I mean, we have to go through extra resources. Yeah.
Do you work like in the industry? Because another thing that you can lean on a lot is your own workplace policies and procedures, and also like your co-workers, your boss. Because I've got some information, some help from my boss.
Yeah. I can't. I tried to stress that a lot in class today, and probably can't stress it enough. Your responsibility is to follow the policies and procedures of the provider that you're working for, right? If you do that and it turns out that their policies and procedures are not compliant with legal frameworks, right? You are not liable, yeah? Right? That gets passed up the chain to their legal department. Basically, they didn't set up their supports in the right way to meet their legal requirements, right? If you don't follow their policies and procedures, then something's wrong, right? Then it can be put onto you.
We're not recording this at the moment, are we? Like
No.
So for example, like I had to do a Roche report last night at work before I even
Oh,
made.
sorry. Wait. No, I was recording.
And you still are.